Welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name is Meredith, and I am an academic advisor with Woodsworth College, the registrar office. I'm joined today with Natasha, as well as two other academic advisors, Anna and Jennifer. Today, for the next 40 to 45 minutes, I'm going to do a presentation about all that you need to know to get ready for your program enrollment for starting in March. How this will go, I'll talk for 40 to 45 minutes, and then we're going to have some time for some Q&A questions. If you have questions as we go, that's wonderful. We want to hear those questions. There is a Q&A feature that you're welcome to put your questions in, and then Anna and Jennifer will respond to them. Just as a heads up, as we go along, if your questions start to get pretty like maybe they're pretty specific, just know that we do have advising sessions available. So this is a QR code. So if you have questions about maybe specific program enrollment questions for yourself, feel free to email us or book an appointment with us. We have 30-minute appointments with us that you're more than welcome to join us with. And we want to hear from you, okay? So try to use the Q&A as much for general questions. And just know that if you have certain questions that we think are really good, we're going to keep them until the end. Some questions that we'll have at the end are questions like, what if I haven't completed 4 credits yet? What if I haven't completed the enrollment requirements? How many programs can I apply for? The reason I'm sharing these are more so that if you have these questions along the way, I want you to know we're going to get to them. I just want to provide a little bit of context first. So if you have these questions, just know we're going to get to them. Questions about transfer credits and all that. And there's a chance that, who knows, maybe you're not able to stay for the whole time. Just know that we're recording this and it's going to be uploaded into Quarkus, the virtual registrar's office. And so you'll be able to revisit this recording at a later time. So let's get started. Let's jump right in. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about program information, the basics. So you may be wondering, why do I need to choose a program at this time? So when you were admitted into the University of Toronto, you came in with an admission category, and it's that admission category that defined your path within the university, first year within the University of Toronto. Now that you're approaching 4 credits, you'll need to choose a program. And the reason behind that is primarily because by choosing a program, you're going to be given a set of courses and programs, and you're going to have to complete those program requirements, which will inevitably work towards your degree requirements. Also, once you hit the 4 credit mark, one thing that you'll need to do, because you're now at 4 credits, is you'll actually need to declare your programs. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to enroll in any future fall and winter courses. The reason behind that is because Acorn, once you hit 4 credits, it no longer sees you as a first-year student. You're now seen as someone who's in year 2 or higher. And whenever there's a student who has more than 4 credits, Acorn will actually stop you from enrolling in any future fall or winter courses until you declare your programs. So if you want to keep on taking courses, you need to choose programs. Lastly, a great thing about choosing programs is you get priority into those into certain courses. So example, if I choose an English specialist and I get in, then when I choose courses for my second year, I'm going to have special access into those English courses over my friend who may not be in an English major or specialist. So these are the reasons why you need to choose a program. Now, what is a program? So there's a few different program options. You can choose a specialist, which is about 10 to 14 credits. You can choose a major, which is 6 to 8 credits, or you can choose minors, and minors are always 4 credits. To give a little context, your degree requirements requires that you complete 20 credits. So whether or not you choose a specialist, a major, or a minor, you'll see that you'll have different credits in that subject area, and the proportion will be a different percentage of those all around 20 credits. So if you choose specialist or major, you're going to have more, you're going to choose an area where you're going to have a more in-depth sense of the knowledge or the discipline. Minors, maybe not so much, but with specialists or majors, you're going to have that in-depth knowledge. One thing you're going to hear a lot about is the idea, this the minimum program combination. What that means is you'll need to choose a minimum program combination. So that's a specialist, 2 majors, or a major and 2 minors. So the reason why there's an asterisk there, and one thing I want to draw attention to, is if you're combining programs, whether it's 2 majors or 2 minors, you'll have to make sure that you have at least 12 distinct credits. Now, what does that mean? That means that you'll have to make sure that when you are choosing courses, that there's not too many overlap between the courses. So when you're choosing programs, there's not too much overlap. If that's something that you're maybe a little bit worried about because your majors or your minors are pretty similar to one another, what you'll want to do is just write out all the program requirements and write out all the courses that are included in that. And if there are 12 credits listed, then you're good to go. But if there's 11 or 11.5, that's when you may come into a bit of an issue. And so what I would recommend in that case is meet with an academic advisor and we can provide some options. So what are the program types? Really, there's 2 main program types. There's open enrollment and limited enrollment. Open enrollment is pretty straightforward. It's open to anyone to enroll, and all you need is 4 credits. So 4 credits from any discipline, as long as you have that, you can enroll into open enrollment programs. Limited enrollment, these programs require a little bit something extra. So again, you do need that 4 credits, but you'll need something extra, and that'll come in 3 different forms. So maybe you need to complete certain courses to apply for those limited enrollment programs. Maybe those courses have a minimum grade associated with that, or maybe a grade that you actually need to get a higher grade in than what's listed in the program to be competitive. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. Or maybe there's special requirements like a supplementary application, audition, or an interview. Another way open and limited programs really differ is the timing of when you enroll into the program. So with open enrollment program, with this chart, you can see that there's no application required for open enrollment, and you can enroll anytime between March 1st and September 16th. So all you have to do in that case is just go into Acorn, find the program that you want, the program code, and then select that program, and you're automatically admitted. But with limited program, you'll see that there's a first request period and a second request period. And if you're unfamiliar with why there is these 2 request periods, what I would recommend that, so with the first request period, basically you can apply between March 1st and April 26th to a limited program. And what they'll look at is basically any courses or grades that you completed up until the end of the winter term. So what I would recommend in this case, if you know going into at the end of winter, you have all the program requirements you need, you're getting the grades that you need to be competitive, then you should really try to apply during that first request period. And the reason why I say that is you'll notice that it gives an indication of when you apply, when you check your results, and when you enroll by. And you'll see that you'll enroll by July 5th, 2024. And the reason why that's important is because July is when you start choosing your courses for summer. So if you can apply for your courses, find out whether or not you're accepted into them by the July mark, that'll give you some clarity into what kind of courses, well, it'll give you clarity for what kind of program requirements you'll need to fulfill. And it'll also provide a guide for what kind of courses you'll take in your second year. Now, maybe you're in a situation where maybe you don't have all the courses you need for your program, or maybe you didn't quite get the grades that you need to be competitive. That's when the second request period is really helpful, because maybe you want to take some summer courses. In that case, you can apply between July 6th and August 20th. So within the limited enrollment, there are some other types, and they're differentiated by certain features. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of give you some ideas of what kind of things, when you're looking at your program, what kind of things that you should really pay attention to. So one, really find out if that if that program allows for both first and second request periods for that application, or maybe it only allows applicants to apply during the first request period. The reason I say that is because not all programs allow both first and second. So you want to make sure the program you want to enroll in and find out when exactly you're able to do that. Secondly, you want to look at the completed courses that are the required courses that are required for applying. So are there specific courses that you need to take? And if so, is there a minimum grade that you need in those courses? If not, maybe it's a variable minimum grade. That difference between a minimum grade and a variable minimum grade, you'll want to see whether or not it's minimum or variable minimum. The reason why that's important is because a variable minimum grade changes from year to year. And so oftentimes when you see variable minimum grade, you often have to pay attention, you often have to aim higher than what the grade is listed. And the reason why it changes is because the department that puts those grade thresholds, they may not know what that grade threshold is yet because it's dependent on multiple factors. And those factors could be the number of spots available in the program for that given year, the number of people applying for those programs, and the grades of those for the grades that the students have for the courses that they're using to apply. If you're confused by any of that, maybe it's not making, whatever the case, just know that later on in the presentation, I'm going to give some examples of the difference between a minimum grade and a variable minimum grade, just so that we can make sure that everyone's on the same page here. Another thing to keep in mind is that not all the requirements are the same for all applicants. So they can differ depending on whether or not you're in a specific admission category. So an example of that is computer science. They have specific courses for those students who are in the computer science admission category, and then they have a whole set of different courses for students who are not in the computer science admission category. Similarly, the number of credits could really change the requirements needed for enrolling into a program. So the years in which so there's year one, which is about 4 years in, you might have the specific program requirements. If you're at 4 credits, maybe you're between 4 and 8.5 credits. They'll have different requirements, and then 9 and higher. So again, I'll show you an example of that. But the main thing to keep in mind is depending on when in your degree you're applying to a program, there may be different courses that you need to complete. You'll have to check to see if there's a supplemental application. 2 big programs that have a supplemental application is Enrolment, Commerce, and Computer Science, both for students who are not in the admission categories for those programs. And then there's collaborative life science. This is really a program category on its own. If you're looking at collaborative life sciences programs to apply to, they have additional restrictions. Some of those restrictions include there's a maximum of 6 courses that you can apply, 6 programs that you can apply to. If you apply to more than those 6 programs, those other additional programs will be disregarded. Additionally, there is a special timeline for applicants. Before I showed you a grid between the open enrollment timelines and limited enrollment timelines, collaborative life science have additional waves of acceptances within the first enrollment. So I'll show you that, but just know that there's going to be additional timelines that you have to keep in mind for accepting offers. And then there is a list of program combinations that are acceptable and not acceptable. So I'll show you that as well, but just things to keep in mind. Okay, so we went over a lot. You might be feeling, okay, there's a lot of things I need to keep in mind when it comes to program enrollment. If you need a little bit of assistance with organizing that, that's 100% fine. We have a program planning worksheet. And so it'll be available on the virtual registrar office. You can use the QR code listed here. I'll also, in the description of this YouTube video, I'll have a link to that program planning worksheet available for you as well. It'll just help you organize what exactly your programs are requiring of you. So now we have an idea of what we need to look for in our programs. Now the question is, where do I find this information? And so I've found 3 really good resources are the academic calendar, the program toolkit, and the academic unit website. So academic calendar, this is a really great resource throughout your whole degree. The reason why it's really good is because it has a list of programs. Every single program in the arts and science faculty is listed there. In each one of those programs, it outlines the enrollment requirements as well as the completion requirements. So those requirements that you need to complete by the end of your degree are listed in the academic calendar. The program toolkit is another great resource. It has the program enrollment date. So that grid that I showed you with the timelines, that's pulled from the program toolkit. Another really great thing that I think the program toolkit does really well, it gives really easy access to find out if your program is open versus limited. It also indicates really clearly whether or not it accepts applicants in the first and second enrollment request period or only the first. Another great thing, it provides really helpful information about collaborative life science programs. And so in fact, in a moment, I'll show you where you can find that information if you're looking specifically for life science programs. And lastly, the academic unit website. So the department for which you're looking to apply into. There's contact information for who, sometimes there might be advisors that you can talk to. If you're starting to get, this is really helpful if you're looking at transfer credits or looking at course specific questions. And so when it comes to making sure that the transfer credits or the courses that you're looking at works towards your program enrollment requirements or program completion, that's when you should really talk to the department. Additionally, if there's a supplemental application, the department, the academic unit website will be helpful in finding out exactly what that supplemental application entails, who to send that to, and when. All right, so now we're going to exit out of this PowerPoint and do some examples. So we'll go right in here. So the academic calendar. So this is what the academic calendar looks like. Right on the left side, it has a list of programs A to Z. So that's what we're going to click on. And I'm going to go to the history. So history minor. And so here we go. So the history minor is right here. And as you can see, when we look at, there's the enrollment requirements here and the completion requirements. So as you can see, it says that it's an open enrollment program and any student who has completed 4 credits may enroll into this program. So again, that could be 4 credits from any discipline. Even if there is a 100 level credit listed for the completion requirements, just know it's not required for you to have completed that in order to enroll into this type of minor. You can always take it in your second year. So if you see something like this with open enrollment, it's open. All you need is 4 credits to join. Now we'll go to the history major. And when we look here, again, it shows enrollment requirements and completion, but what it says here is that it's a limited enrollment program. Again, students need 4 credits, but instead there's something extra here. It lists that there's completed courses that students must take. And so here it shows that students who are looking to get apply for history major need to complete 1 credit within history, and it gives 2 different options. Something I like to note here is that there's no grades associated with it. So all you have to do is just enroll into these courses, pass, and then as long as you have 1 credit within history, you can apply for the history major. All right. Now I'll go into economics major. So with economics major, we'll scroll down. So again, this is a limited program, but how this is different is one, so how it's the same is that there's completed courses that students need to take for this. But what's different is that there's minimum grades listed. So there's an economics requirement and a math requirement, but as you can see, students need to complete Eco 101 and Eco 102 and get a 63 in them, or complete Eco 105 and get an 80. So the thing I like to highlight here is that this is a minimum grade. So students just need to take these courses, achieve a 63% in Eco 101 and the additional courses. And as long as they hit that mark, they are able to apply. They're eligible for this program. This means that a student who may have an 83 in Eco 101 or 63, both students will have equal access to this program. So now I like to take a look at psychology major. Now, psychology major, the reason this one is helpful is because right off the bat, you'll notice there's a lot of fine print. And whether or not you're looking at something with this much fine print or the history minor, whatever the case, the academic calendar is very helpful. And it's very important to read all the fine print here because it's really important to know exactly what is expected of you if you're applying to these programs, if you're trying to get in. There's a lot of details. So this one is interesting because it says it's a limited enrollment program, and it says, note, there are different options depending on whether you're a student who completed 4 to 8.5 credits or 9 or more. And so you can see that right here. So for students who've completed 4 to 8.5, and this is generally when you're in the transition from first year to second year, you'll be looking at these requirements. But if you're pivoting maybe in your second year, third year, whenever, if you've completed more than 9, you'll notice that the requirements have changed. Another thing to know is that it also calls upon grade 12 courses. This doesn't show up often, but it does show up from time to time. So that's something to note as well. The last thing I think is very helpful to note here is the variable minimum grade or minimum grade average. And this is something you should note that's different than the economics major. These are the minimum, this right in the fine details says meeting these minimum admission requirements does not guarantee entrance into the program. Students must prepare to achieve a higher grade than what's listed below. So this 75% for Psych 100 is just the minimum required to be considered in the program. In fact, students need to aim for a higher grade to be competitive for these types of programs. What's nice about this psychology program is that they list what the cutoff has been in previous years. So it's fallen between 78 and 79. But again, this is just a clue as to what you're supposed to try to aim for. Really, it's not definitive. The minimum grade average or variable minimum grade changes from year to year. And so to reiterate, the reason why it changes is because maybe there's a limited number of spots in psychology to give to students. Maybe there's more, it's dependent on the number of students who are applying, and it's dependent on those grades that the students have when they're applying to these programs. So all of that goes into the calculation of what that grade threshold is, and it changes from year to year. So one last time, just make sure that you're reading all of this fine print because there's a lot going on here. The last program I want to take a look at is the computer science program. The reason why I like looking at the computer science program is it gives a really good example of how the program requirements can change depending on the admission category. So students who are admitted into arts and science year 1 admission category will have these requirements. Any other student in any other admission category will have these admission categories, so in program enrollment requirements. You'll see that there's that special requirement for students who are not in computer science admission category. The other thing you'll see that's very unique is that this one also has a timeline. So students who are in the computer science admission category have to complete these requirements within 12 months. So again, taking a look at all this fine print is super helpful. All right. While we're outside, sorry that I just need to, there we go. So the other thing I want to take a look at, another really great resource, is the program toolkit. So it has the important dates listed here. It also has upper years student stories if you're just interested to find out what other students are saying about the programs you're looking at. The reason why I'm going to take a look is that it has instructions on how to apply. So if you're looking for how to apply with open programs or limited, they're up here. But I'm going to spend some time with the collaborative life science programs. So again, it says that you have to have, there's a maximum of 6 collaborative life science programs, whether it's majors or specialists, that you can apply to. So there is that that cap of 6 programs that you can apply to. It also, what's nice, it has a list of the programs that allow for program applications within the first request period only. So as you can see, a large variety of them, the majority of them only allow for that first request period only. But there are a few that allow for first and second. Another thing here is that it gives a really, it explains the time frame for when to accept or watch for your acceptances for the collaborative life sciences. So again, as you can see, students need to apply between March 1st and April 26th, but there are 3 waves of decision iterations that are given out. So between May 17th, May 30th, June 5th, 17th, and as you can see, the last one, June 21st to July 5th. The reason why I want to explain this is because anyone who's applying to collaborative life science programs need to keep in mind these specific dates, because if you're given an acceptance between the first decision iteration, the expectation is that students need to accept or decline it by the last day of that decision, decision iteration. So if you're accepted between March 17th and March 30th, you need to accept it by May 30th, accept or decline it by then, or your acceptance will expire. So just if you're looking at this, make note of this, this page and revisit it so that you have these timelines in mind. The second request period doesn't have those same wavelengths. Basically, you just apply during the second request period and you'll find out, and there's no stress about having to keep an eye on it during those specific times. But okay, I stand corrected. You just have to probably keep in mind by September 4th and enroll by September 16th, okay? The last thing I'll note here is the acceptable combinations for collaborative life sciences. So the majority can be combined, but there are a group of them that programs, the academic units, the departments have decided that they cannot be combined with. So if you're looking at collaborative life science, take a look and see if any of your programs are listed here and make note of the programs that they're not allowed to be combined with. Okay, now that we've gotten into that, we can jump back into our presentation. So now I want to take a quick moment to talk about focuses and certificates. So if you're looking through your academic calendar, you'll see the majors, you'll see specialists, you'll see minors, but you'll also see these things called focus and certificates. And essentially what a focus and certificate is, they're a cluster of courses within a specific discipline. They do differ, however. Focuses, for instance, you must be enrolled in the associated major or specialist program to be in that focus. So the focus allows for concentration in a specific area within that program. An example that I like to use is within computer science, there's a focus of artificial intelligence. So if you're really interested specifically in artificial intelligence, you can enroll in that focus, but you have to be in computer science to apply for that focus or to enroll into that focus. Certificates, on the other hand, when the focus is that you need to be in that program to enroll in that, the certificate actually deals more with your electives. So the idea there is maybe you have your program requirements all completed and you have an excess of electives and you're not quite sure what to do with them. Maybe you need some direction. If that's the case, there's certain certificates. There's the Business Fundamentals Certificate, the Sustainability Certificate, the Black Canadian Studies Certificate. All these help structure the electives that you're in. And so they're about 2 to 3 credits. The main thing I want to highlight here is that the focus and certificates are great options for you. Like, you're more than welcome to take advantage of these, but neither contribute to the minimum program combination. So that what that means is that you still need to get that specialist or choose 2 majors or choose a major and 2 minors. The certificate does not act like a minor, and so you can't substitute it as a minor. More so, these focuses and certificates are add-ons to your minimum program combination. All right, the other thing I want to talk about just briefly are deregulated fee programs. So the reason I want to highlight these, there are a group of programs that are at a higher price point, a higher tuition rate than other arts and science fee programs. So if you're looking at Enrolment, computer science, data science, or bioinformatics and computational biology, these programs will be at a higher price tuition rate. So their fees will be slightly higher. So that's something to keep in mind when you are choosing your program so that there's no surprises when you are accepted into them. If you need more information, I would recommend reading it on our Arts and Science website under Current Students Fees and Refunds. The QR code is listed there. All right, so we're getting close to the end. So we're entering into the part where we're going to talk about some common questions. So before we open it up to your questions, here's some, we're just going to go over some common ones that do come up. So first off, what if I haven't completed the 4 credits yet? Now this does happen from time to time. So maybe you're a student that's completing your courses on a part-time basis, or maybe you've taken some courses that didn't go according to plan. Maybe you had to drop some because you're not interested in them, or you didn't pass them. Whatever the case, there are 2 scenarios in this situation. So if you find that you're close to that 4 credit mark, one option is you could take a course or 2 in the summer program, the summer session, and either enroll in the into an open program, or you could enroll in a limited program within the second request period. So if you feel like you can take a summer course, that's one option. However, you might feel that summer courses are not feasible. Maybe you're not in the city. Maybe you're just not a fan of them. Whatever the case, you can take courses in the fall and winter. And once you get to that 4 credit mark, at that point, the subsequent session after that, you choose some enrollment programs to enroll in, or you'd wait until winter 2025 to enroll into your programs. Similarly, a question that comes up is, what if I haven't completed the enrollment requirements for programs I want to apply for yet? Again, that happens as well. So if that's your situation, the main question I would ask then is, when do you expect that you'll complete those program enrollment requirements? Is it something that you can complete in the summer program, in the summer course, in the summer session? Or is it going to be something that you plan on taking in the fall, winter? The reason behind that is if you're looking to take in fall, winter, and you're looking at limited enrollment programs, and you're going to apply for these programs in winter 2025, that's a whole year away. And that's totally fine. That's great, except it is a lot of time, it's energy. And what you really want to assess then is, will you still want to enroll into that program at that specific time? Maybe it's a situation where you may want to look at other programs, or maybe You just want to make sure that you have some really good backup options. Because really, when we're talking about program enrollment, whether or not you're doing it now or in 2025, good program planning has a plan B, it has a plan C. And the reason behind that is just so that if you don't get into the programs you want, you have a variety of options ahead of you, and you have many different scenarios that you can take, many different paths. So if you haven't completed the program requirements, my biggest recommendation is just, when will you be taking that? And when you do, will you still want to enroll at that time? Okay, so how many programs can I apply for? So there's two answers here. So in general, you can apply to as many limited programs as you want. The caveat being is if you're in the collaborative life science programs. If you're looking at that, in that case, you're looking at a maximum of 6. If you're looking at collaborative life science programs, you have that cap, but just know that you are welcome to enroll in as many other programs outside of that collaborative life science. So there's a lot of flexibility. Can I add more programs than the minimum program combination? So the answer for this is sometimes, yes. The maximum number of programs in your program combination is 3. So if you're looking at a specialist or 2 majors, you can add another program. But if you're looking at 2 specialists, 2 majors, that third program has to be a minor. Now, if you're in a major and 2 minors, you're already at that maximum of 3, so you can't add another program in those cases. Now, what if I have transfer credits? For this, the main question is, what kind of transfer credits are they? Are they the type of transfer credits that come from another post-secondary institution? If that's the case, then you should probably talk to the academic unit that you're looking to, the department that you're expecting to enroll in a program with. The important thing there is seeing whether or not that transfer credit from another institution is going to fulfill those program enrollment requirements or the program to completion requirements. Now, if you are looking, maybe you have some AP, IB, or CAPE transfer credits that you completed in high school and you received when you were admitted. What I would recommend in that case, you can visit our webpage for transfer credits for newly admitted students. The QR code again is listed right there. And when you follow it, you'll be able to select whether it's IB, AP, CAPE, or whatever, and it'll show a chart. And that chart is super helpful because it'll tell you what breadth requirements it fulfills. It'll also tell you whether or not it can be used for program enrollment requirements or completion requirements. The main thing with transfer credits is you want to find out how the University of Toronto accepts those courses and like how it'll be seen and viewed. If it does not fulfill the program enrollment requirements or the program completion requirements, then you'll have to take the U of T version. All right, so what if I don't get into my program? This question doesn't actually come up that often, but it is something that I think we all consider. I think it is something we need to think about because it does happen. These are competitive programs, and there are a lot of students applying for spots in these limited programs. So what if I don't get into my program? So the main question is, okay, so if I don't get in, do I pivot and choose a different option, or do I try again? And if your answer is you want to try again, then the next thing you'll need to do is really reflect and consider, why didn't I get into that program? Have that honest conversation with yourself. Try to figure out exactly what might have been that reason that you didn't get in. Take a look at the academic calendar. That's a super helpful resource. You can find out, maybe there was a course that I forgot to take, or maybe I didn't get a certain grade, or maybe you read the minimum grade requirement and it's actually a variable minimum grade, or whatever the case. Another additional resource you can utilize, and one that I would definitely recommend for very competitive programs, is reach out to that department that you're applying for. You can ask, why didn't I get in? What is the reason for that? Because when we have those reasons, it gives us more direction of what actionable steps we can take to increase our chance the next time we choose to apply for those programs. Again, if you're trying to apply for those programs, that's a year. Winter 2025 is when you'd get when you try again, and that's a whole year away. It's a lot of time. And so it is really helpful to really think and just try to figure out, why didn't I get in? And also assess, how committed am I to get a higher grade or try to get in? Because it is a lot of work. So all those things are things that you can reflect on, but also these are questions that you can book an appointment with your academic advisor. We're all here to have these kind of conversations with, and we can try to exercise, like, just talk about all the different options you have ahead of you. The last thing that I want to end this discussion on is just program enrollment happens every single year of your degree. So maybe you don't get into the program you want this time, or maybe you do, and then you realize, oh, I don't really like this program. It's not what I expected. Whatever the case is, you have the option to change your programs every single year. So you can do it in your second year, you can do it in your third, even in your fourth, you can change. The thing is, if you do it in your third and fourth, the program planning starts to get a bit more tricky, but that option is still available to you and you can still utilize it, okay? So there's a lot of flexibility here, but yeah, just navigating it. So if you ever have questions, you can always talk to us, okay? Oh, there's one more thing, the program exploration days. So maybe you're in this situation where you're like, I actually have no idea what program I'm into. Or maybe you've tried courses and you're like, I thought I knew, but I don't. If either of those situations, or maybe you just want to explore, February 28th and 29th, Sydney Smith Hall, they're going to be hosting program exploration days. The QR code here will provide you more information. You'll be able to go to this page and register for those events. But what's really great is that it gives you the opportunity to talk to students, to staff, and just see what's out there, and faculty and instructors. You can learn about different research opportunities. So you can just explore what there is. And so that brings me to the end. So we'll open it up for questions, but if you're watching along with this recording, this is our contact information, where the QR code here links you to our appointment booking page, or the form that you fill out for academic advising. And just know that we're here to answer all your questions. We want to make sure that you have all the information you need. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording now.